Hey, welcome back to another 2 hour grind. I'm Nate, and on today's 2 hour grind, I'm continuing this Chrono piece. We lost a legend in the manga world, right, with Akira Toriyama. Decided to do this piece of art based on when I was introduced to his artwork, which was 1995's Chronotrigger for Super Nintendo. So last video, I got through a lot of the marker steps. I built value with a couple different color, blues, whatever it might be, to kind of add those lights, that shadow. So I'm still gonna kind of work on that as I go through this. I am gonna be adding my black line work on top of it in this video, and I'm gonna be working on the background. So I think the next thing I want to do is kind of start adding some of the grays into the background, and I'm gonna kind of transition it into a little bit of those greens for Lavos. It's like one of the last bosses of the game. Kind of reminded me of like Galactus, I guess. He goes to the world and tries to eat it or drain it of its energy. I'm going to just start laying some light grays and light greens in just to kind of get where his colors are and what colors are what. And I want to start light, so I really want to like barely let the marker touch and then build up the layers as I go along. Akira Toriyama's character designs are pretty unique, easily distinguished, and that's one of the things you want to do as an artist, right? So even with his villains and his heroes, they all kind of have that same look to them, so you can easily tell his art from other artists. I'm gonna hopefully make him look like he's coming out of a shadow. That's the goal. It's a little bit, might be a little tough with markers, but I'm gonna give it a shot anyway. So let's see. All right, so I got through the cool grays on most of the background. I'm adding a black in there now to kind of hopefully be the darkest areas. I like to use vertical lines for walls most of the time, depending on if it's in perspective or not, depending on which ways I want things to feel like they're going. So flat wall in the background or just like blank space, I usually try to do the vertical lines. So I don't mind if a couple of the lines show up a little bit in the markers. Most of the time I kind of blend it, but I do go vertical for those areas. And then, when I'm coloring the ground, I'll go horizontal. Um, Hopefully to add that element of space or that illusion of space a little bit. All right, here we go. Last little area, the black behind Lavos, and then it's gonna be black line work in Chrono. Finishing touches, wrapping this thing up. So here we go. Next step. Next step, line work. I like to start with like a contour line silhouette outline of the whole figure with the thickest outline. And then I'll work a little bit thinner as I go in. So just contour lines, negative space. So I'm not actually going to go down into like any of the areas of the actual figure. I'm just going to do that thick outline around the edges. Now I'm going to go in, it's going to be a little bit thinner, right? So I started with like the thickest one of the plain markers. I'm going to go down to like a 3 instead of the 8. The 8's what I started with. I'll go to a 3. And I'm going to just basically hit the bigger areas. So those areas are going to be a little bit thicker outlined. Same idea, just that contour outline of that shape. So like his top around his sleeve, and then I'm going to bring it up around his neck with his cape. Alright, so basically what I'm doing is the silhouettes, like the outline, the contour of each shape now. So after I started with the contour line drawing, right, the silhouette of the big full figure, now I'm going in and doing like each individual piece of clothing or like shape and then I'm gonna go in even smaller and do all those final details and, like, you know, mark it up a little bit to add some texture, thing like that. So right now I'm still working on doing the bigger shapes. And because the belt buckle will overlap the rest, it'll get a thicker outline as well. Okay, here is where I'm at right now on this Chronotrigger piece. All right, that's going to be the end of this Chrono from Chronotrigger. We lost a legend in Akira Toriyama, and this was the first work of his that I was introduced to, was his character designs in Chronotrigger, and I loved that game when I was growing up, so I only felt right by creating that piece of art. So I got Crono in the front and Lavos in the back. I'm probably going to still scan him in, give him some final touches, tweak some things. If you want to check out more of my work, see what else I'm producing, check me out, any of these cool spots right over here. I do try to update regularly, and it's going to be either art, comics, toys, or trading cards. Any of those little clicks is greatly appreciated. Thank you so much. Thanks for stopping by. Thanks for taking a look at this video. And until next time, I am Nate, and this was the 2 Hour Grind.